So let's get started with this panel. We're going to open it up by talking about some of the problems with gluten. So for the panelists, and we'll kind of go down the line because this is a big question, let's talk about an overview of gluten's impact on the gut, hormones, and immune system. So we'll start here with Dr. Kalish. Why don't you pick one of those items and just talk briefly about gluten's impact on that system?
Hello?
Yeah.
This one is if you
All
want.
right, let's try the live one. So let's start with adrenals. Keep it simple. So this is what I was taught over 20 years ago by my teacher, Dr. Bill Timmons, who was one of the people that was working with gluten-free diets 30 plus years ago. And when I first met Bill, I thought he was a little crazy, but I decided to take him up on this challenge and start to use gluten-free diets in my practice and saw changes I couldn't really believe. But one of the fundamental ideas that he instilled in me was that when people eat gluten, you get a chronic low-grade inflammatory response in the gut, and the immediate response to that is that the adrenal hormone cortisol starts to go up and up and up. And the more gluten that you eat, the more cortisol that you produce, and the more of the stress hormone cortisol that you produce, the more your sex hormone levels drop. So for men and women both, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone levels all start to bottom out. And so you have an immediate hormonal response mediated by the adrenal glands as soon as you start eating gluten, assuming that you're gluten sensitive. And then people present to practitioners like us with a hormone problem. That's a little confusing because it seems like a hormone problem, but it may have been generated from food.
Let's talk to the doctors about the impact of gluten on the gut and on the immune system, and then we'll go to Jennifer and Will to talk about Stephen, to talk about some of the effects that you see when you're sensitive and you ingest gluten. So Dr. Myers?
So really the theory is behind the aspect of leaky gut. And so when you're eating gluten, if you have, well, many believe because of how we've deaminated it and hybridized it, that gluten is inflammatory and everyone has some level of gluten sensitivity. And it's causing a leaky gut in everybody. It's just that many people can repair that because the gut cells change over every 24 to 48 hours. And many people can just repair that quickly. But as we're eating it more and more, and if you have other chronic conditions, that gut doesn't get healed. And so as the gluten or gliadin gets presented to your immune system, 80% of it's sitting right there in your gut. And it views that gluten molecule or the gliadin as a foreign invader, and it begins to attack it, creating an inflammatory condition that eventually can also lead into autoimmunity. There's a process called molecular mimicry, and that these gliadins look very similar to many of our other tissues, particularly like the thyroid. And so the body goes in and to attack the gliadin, and it mistakenly attacks your thyroid gland, and then you end up with Hashimoto's. So it's really one of the basis behind autoimmunity.